All right, I think it's time to get the show on the road. Thank you so much for joining, everyone. If you're on the YouTube live stream, welcome, or if you're watching the replay, thanks so much for being here. If you are live on the Meet, thanks for actually joining us on the Meet. We're going to get started now. If you're joining late, there will be a recording available, and this is up on the IT Genius channel and hopefully on the On-Site Helper channel as well. So you should be able to check them out there. Thanks so much for joining. Google are making some pretty interesting changes to their plans coming up. And if you'd like to beat the price rise, we've got a little presentation for you, some options that are available for you. And as well, if you'd considered changing, or if you are considering changing to a different plan, now would be a good time to do that because there's some pretty awesome savings to be had. Google did previously have discounts available for their plans if you switch to annual plans, but then they killed that a couple of years ago and everything went back to month. But now they've brought some discounts back, and we want to help you kind of see what options you've got here. Now, just a quick reminder, if you are on the live, you can actually ask us a live question. So I'll drop that again into the chat, and I'll drop that into a chat in a few moments again as well as we go along. If you want to ask a question live, we'll be answering those for you. Yeah, we've got a few people from some different places. We've got Adrian is in Ha Long in Vietnam. Chris joining from Perth. Ian also joining from Perth. Thanks for joining, guys. A little bit earlier for you. What's that? 9 a.m. Same as me. I'm in Manila at the moment. All right, so let's jump through. If you don't know who we are both IT Genius and On-Site Helper. Both of our businesses, I'm at least a part owner in. But we're basically sister companies. IT Genius is a small business focused Google Workspace partner, and On-Site Helper based in Melbourne works with mid-market sized companies and smaller kind of corporates and mid-market enterprises with everything to do with Google Workspace. We're also a managed service provider. So if you're interested in more traditional IT support, or if you have hybrid systems, so if you have Microsoft hardware, Active Directory services, Azure, we can work with some of those, more complex hybrid infrastructure setups. If you want to roll out Chromebooks, if you want to, do a security audit on your Workspace account, then you can work with either of us. But IT Genius focuses on the small businesses, so typically 20 employees or less. Businesses will tend to gravitate to the services of IT Genius, and On-Site Helper is typically for the 20 to 2,000 employees kind of range. But thanks very much for being here. We've worked with a number of pretty prestigious brands and organizations across Australia and New Zealand and many other parts of the world. We have 25,000 seats managed all over the world in 15 different countries now, customers on our books, which is pretty exciting. And we would love to, if you're not yet in a business relationship with us, we'd love to invite you to consider that. If you are already doing business with us, thank you very much for your patronage. It's wonderful to have you here. So to participate, we'll be monitoring the chat. If you need to jump in and ask any questions or throw in any comments, or if someone says something and you miss it or you want it to be repeated, then please just drop it into the chat. If you're thinking to yourself that you didn't catch something, then chances are someone else may be in the same boat. So don't be afraid to put your hand up and say, "Hey, I've got a question," or "I missed that." If you actually have a question like you'd like us to cover for the Q&A. Please drop it into the link that I've dropped in there, the Slido Q&A. That just means that we can make sure that we cover every single question, because sometimes the chat does get a bit busy and we miss them. And remember, you do have the recording as well. If you're super busy and you don't have time to catch the whole webinar, that's okay. We've got the recording, but you can also just reach out to one of our teams. And on the last slide, we'll drop some links. And of course, you'll get a follow-up email after registering as well for any further questions or follow-up that you have if you want some help. Doesn't matter if you're a customer or not. We'll be happy to help you and have a look at your situation. And if we can offer our services and be of service to you, even if it's just billing through us, doesn't cost you any extra, but you get a bunch of perks doing business with us, at least starting that billing relationship. We'd love to have you working with us if you're not yet already. Okay, with that, I am going to hand over to Stan, who looks like he's just logged in fresh. So Stan, over to you.
Thanks, Pete. Sorry, my wife actually just dropped out for a second there, but I'm back on board. How's that for timing?
Perfect timing. Perfect timing.
Cool. So I'll just make sure that everyone can see my screen.
Yeah, I've got you okay, Stan.
Is that a yes?
That's a yes from me.
Yep, Pete, I can't hear you, but I can see you mouthing yes. Cheers. So great, thanks for joining everyone. I see a few familiar names, which is good to see. So I guess I just wanted to run through some reasons that Google posted up on their blog as to why there is a price increase and a bit of a change to the plans. So since Google rebranded from G Suite to Google Workspace just over 2.5 years ago, they've added a whole bunch of new features to Google Workspace. So the count is 300 plus over the last 2 years. Some you may have noticed, some maybe not. Some are hidden in the background, and they are security features which are automatically applied. And because Google Workspace is a cloud platform, you don't have to apply these updates automatically. They're done for you by Google. So we've just got a few people joining the meeting. You're not aware of the updates that have happened, or you haven't seen them come through for your Gmail, Docs, Sheets, you can subscribe to Google's blog or newsletter, which comes out quite regularly with the updates they're handing out. They also have a calendar which shows the dates of when upcoming updates are coming, if you are interested. It is also quite common for cloud providers to have an annual and monthly option. So if you use Zoom or any other cloud providers, you will notice that if you do subscribe to an annual commitment, you generally do get roughly that sort of 20% discount. So Google is, I guess, following suit with that sort of billing model. If you haven't seen already, Google will be releasing a bunch of new AI features this year. So they've released a little 2-minute video, which I can share with you also. I won't play it during this live, but those features should be coming out in 2023, which is exciting to see. Cool. So what I wanted to do next, before we get into the specifics of the actual price change and how we can save 20%, I wanted to spend a few minutes talking about Google Enterprise, because this will actually be the best opportunity to upgrade and get discounts and actually save more. If this was in your future of IT, if you were looking at moving to Enterprise, over the next few weeks will be the best time to get the best price over the next couple of years. So Google have 5 different plans. We've got the business SKU, which is business starter, business standard, and business plus. And they also have an enterprise standard and enterprise plus. And the higher up the line you go, really the more security features and the more control over your data and access that you have. So a few examples here on the screen, and there's many more features than this. These are just sort of some of the main ones. So with Enterprise Standard, you do get a lot of control over your Windows computers. So being able to do things like Windows updates, having people log into their Windows computers with their Gmail login. Really powerful tools, especially for remote workers. Other features include data loss prevention. So what this does is it's really ensuring that important client information isn't leaked, especially things like driver's license numbers, Medicare numbers, credit card, anything that's really personally identifiable, things that hackers are looking for. So what this tool does is it can either block or notify admins if there are credit cards, for example, being leaving Google Drive or emails in plain text. So it's a really good way of making sure that that important data doesn't get leaked externally. Another really great feature of Enterprise Standard specifically is context-aware access. So what this is blocking levels of access based off a context. So a good example of this is geography. So if you only have staff working in Australia and maybe say the Philippines, you can whitelist these countries to have access to your Google Workspace, and you can block every other country. So if someone in the United States or Argentina, Russia, any other country has your username and password, they can't log in because they're not in Australia or Philippines, as an example. And you can get even more granular by allowing or blocking access via IP address or MAC address.
Stan, I might jump in there if you don't mind.
Sure.
So this kind of feature can be really useful if you've got staff that are potentially, visiting or close to a particular jurisdiction that your cybersecurity insurance may not like. As an example, a friend of mine who's a online contractor works with a US-based company, and she was visiting Taiwan, and basically the cybersecurity policy said you can't go anywhere near China or its potentially affiliated countries close to mainland China, and so being able to just lock down certain countries full stop means that if someone goes on holiday and they happen to take their work laptop, you're potentially reducing your risk, and therefore potentially actually reducing your premiums for your cybersecurity insurance. So that's a cool little feature. I guess a real world implementation of what that might look like, and even something as simple as someone traveling and doing a little bit of work when they're on the road traveling. That may be something that your insurance company is not really happy with. So this feature's a cool little feature for something like that in that scenario.
Great, thanks for that, Pete. And the next one up is Enterprise Plus. So I've just put two features here, which are security-based. So one is Security Sandbox. And what this does is it actually opens email attachments that are coming in an isolated environment to make sure that they don't have executable malware that, if not opened or not checked thoroughly, might get ransomware on the Windows PCs. So another one here is Security Center. And what this does is it minimizes the risk of data breaches or other security incidents by sending out alerts for suspicious activity. Generally, this will go to your admin. So whether you have an IT admin in-house or you've got an IT provider like ourselves, it also gives security health recommendations, and has an investigation tool for things that may have already happened, so that can be prevented in future. Now, with all this, we are mainly talking about security, but there are other features. For example, in Google Meet, Google Meet has noise cancellation. So if you've got barking dogs in the background, chainsaws outside, if you're during a meeting, your participants won't hear that. So that's some great features of Enterprise Plus. Now, the other reason that we're talking about these enterprise SKUs is because you do need them, especially if you want to comply with certain cybersecurity standards. So the one that the Australian government recommends and created alongside the Australian Cybersecurity Centre is the Essential 8. So these are 8 controls that they recommend for all businesses to do to really have a baseline security within their company. So here you can see the 8, and there isn't necessarily one specific tool or measure that you can take to look after all of these 8, but there definitely are a lot that enterprise will do. And I'll show these on the next slide. It does get quite technical here, and sorry if the text is a little bit small, but these are the measures that you can do with upgrading to enterprise to be compliant with the Essential 8. And the reason this is so important, as you've probably seen over the last 6 months, especially with some Australian organisations being hacked, the government is increasing fines for businesses who do have data leaks, and the fines are getting higher and higher. So by complying with this Essential 8, you're showing that your business is putting in efforts to secure their clients' data. A handy hint, if you have been looking at Chromebooks or Chrome Enterprise, Essential 8 actually goes down to Essential 4. Because you're using a Chrome operating system, you don't need things like Windows updates. So they're out the window already, plus a few others there. So if you are interested in Chrome, always happy to have a chat about that. So now we're up to the new Google Workspace pricing. So here you'll see all the additions. We've got the previous pricing. So we've got $8.40 for Business Starter, $16.80 for Business Standard, etc., etc. Now, what Google is doing is allowing you to keep your current pricing if you do commit to an annual plan. So committing to Google for 12 months, you can stay on that current price. If you are on flexible pricing at the moment and you choose to stay that way, that's where the 20% increase will come into play. As you can see, Enterprise Standard is the only outlier, and that'll increase by 38%. So if you are inflexible and you stay inflexible, there will be a 20% increase in pricing. If you commit to annual, so some action needs to be taken there, you'll continue to stay on the same pricing, except for Enterprise Standard, which has a small increase from $28 to $32.20. Now, what we can do, if you are an Enterprise Standard currently, we can actually lock you in for a 3-year contract and keep you on that $28 pricing. If you are in Business Starter, Business Standard, Business Plus, and you are wanting to upgrade to Enterprise Standard or Enterprise Plus, it is on a case-by-case basis, but we can ask our Google account managers to provide some discounts on the long-term 3-year contract also. So I hope I've covered everything there and that makes sense. So moving forward, like I said, there's 3 options. If you're unflexible and you stay unflexible and you want to stay unflexible, you don't have to do anything. Your price of your license will increase by 20%. And you can continue to add and remove licenses as you require, as the business grows or shrinks. The second option is move to the annual commitment, which will keep you on the same pricing for 12 months at a time. Now, the only thing with the annual commitments is during that commitment period, you can only increase licenses, you're unable to reduce. So a good example of this is if you lock into 12 months now with 25 licenses, and then in a month's time, you have to add 5 licenses because there's 5 new staff coming on board. For the remainder of the 11 months of your 12-month commitment, 30 is your the lowest amount of licenses you can have. So you can only increase, you're not able to reduce during that term. What you can do, however, is obviously if someone leaves the business and you've got a new person coming in, you can reuse licenses. And the third option that we have is to upgrade. So whether it's from Business Starter to Business Standard to Enterprise Standard, discounts are available, which are on a case-by-case basis. So we can have a meeting, discuss what your needs are, see which plan best suits you, and we can ask Google for some upgrades, generally on a 1, 2, or 3-year commitment. Again, with these longer commitments, you can only increase the number of licenses, and you're not able to reduce. So it's not for everyone. If your projection over the next few years is that your business is growing and you're not suspecting it to shrink, or you don't have a normal influx or decrease in your business, then these are usually a good way to go. So that's all I have for the presentation. I guess it's time for Q&A. I did hear some beeps. I think we had some come through.
Thank you so much, Stan. And I didn't actually give you a proper intro when we started. Stan's head of sales for On-Site Helper and has worked with many organizations to implement, transition, and get more out of Google Workspace. He's based in our Melbourne office. And so, yeah, if you're lucky enough to spend some time speaking with Stan, he really knows the operating system and the ecosystem of Google inside and out. and also knows his way around Chrome pretty well as well. So thank you so much, Stan, for sharing this. We do have one question. It's not actually related to the plans, but we may as well cover that one now anyway. So the question is, oops, let me actually share this tab into here. So Anthony joined us on YouTube and asked, can we get early access to Bard? Is that available?
Not that I'm aware of, but we can always find out from Google.
Okay, cool. So that sounds like one to message. Yeah, maybe we can start giving some options on how people can best reach out to us. Another question has just come through from Anonymous. I'm a sole operator and I have business standard. I'm running out of data storage because I'm nearing 30 gigabytes. How can I increase that, or must I move to business standard to do that at the higher cost?
So the general rule is to upgrade to business standard, which will give you 2 terabytes per user, and that's pooled over the business. So if you have 15 users, the whole business will have 30 terabytes. However, depending on how many licenses you have, there are exceptions that have to be approved by Google to do split licensing. So that's something that would require a meeting with myself to identify what the situation is, and then we can ask Google whether that's a possibility or not.
Yeah. So for this person in particular, I mean, they said they're a sole operator, so I'm assuming they're just one license. Are there minimums for business standard? I think there used to be like a 5-user minimum when it was called G Suite Unlimited. Do you know if that still is in place, Stan?
Yeah, so they have special rules that if you do split licensing, at least 10% have to be on the higher or the lower, SKU. But sometimes from quarter to quarter, these rules change. So it is case by case. And you're right, I forgot that I saw sole operator. So for a sole operator, yes, you would have to upgrade to business standard.
Yeah.
To answer your question.
But is there, like, when you go, can you buy like one license of business standard anymore, or do you have to have a minimum of 5?
No, a minimum of 10 or 10%.
Okay. Oh, minimum.
But I would.
Yeah, but that's for split licensing. What if you're like a sole operator and you just want to buy, like, your business only has one user?
Yeah, if you just have one user, the easiest thing to do is just to upgrade to business standard.
Okay, cool. All right, so you can still do that. You probably haven't touched a one user account in a while, but that's
right.
That's probably more an IT genius question, and I don't remember that one off the top of my head. Okay, cool. We'll keep the Q&A open. Stan, I reckon we should roll that video because not everyone may have seen the new features. Have you got the link to that video handy that we were going to share?
I do.
If you don't mind dropping that over to me, I'd love to share that with everyone. And then I think, Stan, if you want to drop the links for how people can get in touch if they'd like some help, because I know you've got some options for that as well. Yeah, but if you drop over the link, I'd love to share that video with everyone. Thanks so much for your questions so far, guys. We're going to keep that Q&A open for a couple of moments longer, just in case anyone else has some more questions. But we wouldn't be doing our thing if we didn't show off some of Google's latest AI features, which they're finally catching up on. Oh, we've actually got another question that's come through on YouTube, and I'm going to pop that into the... oh, darn, I can't cut and paste it. All right, I'm going to have to just talk that one. All right, Stan, I'll let you send me those links, and then I'm actually going to give you another question as well.
Yep, I've just sent you that in the background.
Legend, thank you. Okay, so I'm just going to read. I'm going to have to read this question to you because I can't cut and paste it for some reason. So this is from Andrew. We've been on a Business Plus 3-year plan with a discount in place. So that sounds like they're on a commitment to Business Plus. Can we negotiate a new plan at a disjunction rate? I assume they meant discounted rate. If we commit to a new 3-year plan but stay on the same level. So it sounds like they're already in a commitment and they want to like reset the 3-year commitment, like reset that 3-year commitment target without changing plans. Do you think that might be possible?
Generally for renewals, it is case by case. So I would need to know the domain, and it's probably best to have a meeting to find out whether that is possible. Generally, Google give discounts only for upgrades. However, because of this price change, it may be possible. It also depends when the renewal is. So if it's in a month or two, or whether it's in 18 months, that could play a part.
All right, cool. Thanks for the question. Andrew. Let me share this. So Stan, if you wouldn't mind getting ready the slide or the landing page link, maybe you could even drop that link to me as well, if you don't mind, for where people can go to get access, because I know we've got a couple of options there if people are looking for help. But in the meantime, yep, I'm going to give this a play, and hopefully this works for everyone. That is pretty darn epic. Google were a little bit behind the eight ball to releasing their AI chatbot. Obviously, ChatGPT has been making some pretty amazing waves. But what we do know about Google is, even though they're not always necessarily first, they really produce pretty amazing products when they do. So I'm looking forward to getting my hands on Bard. I haven't actually tested out myself yet. We're still working on access for me. I have not yet got my hands dirty. But if you'd like to check that out, we'll be sharing more details about our adventures. Make sure you're following on all the social media networks. If you head along to either one of our websites, or if you're on the YouTube channel, you can just go to peter.tv in your browser, and that gives you links to my Instagram, our YouTube channels, and then you'll be able to follow along with everything there. But if you're interested in getting some help from our team, if you're already a customer of OnSite Helper, or you're already a customer of IT Genius, just reach out to your existing account manager or your existing contact at either one of those businesses respectively. But if you're new to working with us, we would love to have you consider just having a chat with us about anything to do with your Google Workspace account. And if you're specifically looking for a discount or a contract renegotiation, or if you have an interesting situation, maybe you've got a large organization with more than 100 employees, and you're looking for multiple SKUs, or an interesting structure on your licensing that's a little bit out of the box. Because we've got direct access to Google and we are able to negotiate with them directly, we can usually get a little bit better of a deal than you would be able to do going with them straight up. We've got 25,000 licenses under management, which means that we can twist our arm a little bit, which is pretty cool. And we've got great relationships with Google in Australia, and they want to hit their sales targets. So it doesn't matter where you are in the world, you're able to work with us from anywhere, which is pretty cool. So reach out. I'm going to drop this link into the chat. But if if you're on the live stream or you're watching this in a week's time or something like that, you can always just reach out by dropping us a message. But we do have a hard deadline. So Stan, maybe you can let people know about the hard deadline of when they need to get in touch by.
Correct. So officially the price rise will be happening 14th of April. But with Easter in the corner and some public holidays, we really want people to try and make decisions as quick as possible. By the 10th or 11th would be ideal.
Awesome. All right. You heard it there. By the 10th or 11th, please reach out. And, because we've got to go back and forward to Google, sometimes to the US, to get deals closed out. Don't call us on the last day before it's going to happen, because it's we don't want the team to be too stressed out about that. So reach out, please, by the 10th or 11th. That would be ideal. And I want to say a massive thank you, Stan, for putting this together. Really appreciate it. We make less money when we give discounts to customers. So this is the kind of thing that we want to do to just help you guys save money as much as possible, and help you out. But we also know that if we can build a longer term relationship with you, help you out with your workspace, and help you out with your business processes, then that's going to be good in the long run for everyone. So I hope this has been informative and useful for you. Big thank you to Stan for presenting everything here, and a big thanks also to Adrian and Cam, who are on our team at Onsite Helper and IT Genius, who have helped to bring this together. And if you've spent your time with us this morning, thank you very much. If you're watching the replay, thank you very much. Stan, any last words?
No, please get in touch. I'd love to have a chat and see how we can help.
Wonderful. Yes. And if you reach out to Onsite Helper, you get to have a chat with Stan in the flesh, who's very knowledgeable about all the plans and is dedicated to helping you get the best deal possible. And he loves working with Google to screw them down and give you a good deal. So we'll say goodbye now. Thank you so much for joining, and look forward to catching you next time. Take care.
Thanks, mate. Thanks, everyone.